Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Man, I couldn't wait to get back to these cases. I was thinking about OJ all night at work, and I was busy, but I'm glad we made it. I'm a little late, but that's okay. We're moving now. This dress I have on, I'm hoping my son doesn't come down. Long story short, and I don't know how it happened, but me and his ex-girlfriend had bought identical dresses. Both of us have this dress, so I never wear it because his ex girlfriend has it. She lived with me at the time, so we both had identical dresses. Yeah, yeah, that's never a good thing when you buy the same dress as your son's girlfriend. But all right, let's just take a guess real quick on how much her hair costs because she got. I mean, that looks like a very expensive hairdo, doesn't it? That's not free. Hey, Facebook. Denmark. One of my besties lives in Denmark. I don't know what the town is called. It's near Copenhagen. I guess everything is near Copenhagen. Okay. A margarita? I guess if you had a grand piano like that, you wouldn't put a margarita on it, would you? I would. Just saying, don't buy me a piano if you don't want me to put a margarita on it. Okay, here we go.
Was this the same day the baby to take the baby to the emergency room?
Because he was crying, he was pulling on his ear, and he also had some kind of diarrhea.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it
Absolutely.
was. Because,
Okay. And then, was this following, was this the same day the baby was picked up from his dad?
yes,
Okay. And how long had the baby been gone with his dad?
I cannot say exactly because sometimes it's like 2 days and sometimes it's 5 days.
So do you remember
but-
how long he was gone prior to this visit?
Um, I'm not sure whether
Okay.
it's 2 days or not. Yeah.
Okay, and so did the doctor prescribe medication to the baby?
You did.
Okay. And then did you observe me administering medication to the baby?
Yes.
Did you administer any medication to the baby?
Yes.
Okay. And then moving on to
Go to bed.
the next medical record that's on there, dated December 18, 2018, at the bottom right. It's the last.
Hold on. December, you say?
Top, the bottom right, it's like pages 1 and 2.
Oh, December 18th.
Okay.
Okay.
Were you present when the baby went? Actually, can you identify the patient's name number?
Ravello Julian.
Okay. And were you present when he was taken to the emergency room? Okay. On that day.
I just replied.
Okay. And what prompted us to take him to the hospital?
Um, I'm not so sure. December 2018. I know he had diarrhea also, and throwing up. I'm sure. I'm not so sure. I think he had. I know he had diarrhea at that time.
Okay, so when the baby is picked up from his dad, Does he often have diarrhea?
Happy birthday.
all the time. All the time. It's some kind of diarrhea that I don't know.
Okay, and then based off of your knowledge and experience with your 5 children, is a baby having diarrhea a common thing?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Not always. Baby cannot have diarrhea every time he's picked up. He's coming home with diarrhea.
Okay. Um, okay, and then based off your interaction with the baby, like how would you describe just your observation and knowledge of his health since you're there all the time?
Whenever he comes, the eyes are kind of like, I don't know, like
Drunk.
pulled down or something like
He's
that.
drunk.
And for me, I just think that maybe it's because of the diarrhea or the food that he is getting. That's what I just think. He comes home dirty. The feet are dirty, like he's walking outside. The skin rash is very rough. The skin is rough with some kind of rash that's on him all the time. So that's what I observe all the time.
Okay. Does the baby have any, from your knowledge of being there at doctor's visits, does the baby have any skin conditions?
When he comes home, yeah, he has skin condition all the time. He has some kind of rash every time.
In the doctor's office, has the doctor ever, while you were present, mentioned any skin conditions that the baby has?
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained.
Do you know of any skin conditions that the baby has?
He comes with some kind of eczema sometimes, and the diaper rash.
Okay. And does he have medication? Well, how do you observe me caring for the skin
So
condition?
let me ask a question. When you do the transfers, do you give the medication and the instructions for the application of the medication?
No, she does not. We already know this. And if I get eczema sometimes, oh, my dad is in trouble. Wait till I get him. I can't really get him anymore, but
Well,
To his father?
no, the thing is, he doesn't have eczema medication.
no, that's her mother. That's her mother, the child's grandma.
Because you can go.
Any of the medications. You're on a 2-2-5 exchange.
I have
Have you ever given medication to his father?
I have
saying-
given him nystatin, and I instructed him to use it on the diaper area. And this is on a Talking Parents record, recent one that I didn't get
Okay,
to submit.
I'll take a
But I
look.
have, and I've instructed him that he needs to mix it with zinc because it's a strong medication.
Okay, that was recently, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But any other time, yeah, that was recent.
All right.
So, have you observed me treating, well, not treating, but taking care of the skin condition that the baby has?
Yes.
Okay, and what do I use generally?
Diaper rash and the nystatin and the zinc.
No, not the, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about diaper rash,
What
I'm
did I-
talking about skin.
Oh, I'm forgetting the name. Oh my gosh. I'm forgetting the medication, but
Peanut
it's
butter.
got a blue
It's
top and it's
peanut
kind of
butter.
like
Jeff.
So you
petrol.
observe your daughter using the medication on your grandson, right?
Yes,
And do you know, to your knowledge, is the medication bought in a store?
Walgreens and Walmart.
Okay. And then, does it help with the skin condition?
It does.
Okay. And then, did a doctor ever have to, well, to your knowledge and you being there all the time, present at doctor's visits as well, did a doctor ever have to tell me,
Ma'am, you cannot get into what a
Okay.
doctor's told you.
what have I had?
It'll either be in the medical record, in which case it is potentially admissible as non-hearsay, as a medical record for purposes of diagnostic and treatment, but not necessarily causation. But she can't say what the doctor said. You
Okay.
have to have your pediatrician or whoever the doctor was at the time come in and testify,
Right.
if it's not in the record.
To your knowledge, has anyone had to ever tell me how to treat?
That's
and-
asking the same
Okay.
question in a different way, and you cannot do that.
Have you ever have you ever taken care of
Vodka.
a baby with eczema?
I have.
Okay. And is this something that runs in your family?
Yeah, eczema runs in in my family.
Okay. And can you get treatment lotions from a drugstore?
Yes.
Like, do you get treatment lotions from a drugstore?
You can? Yes.
Okay. And how do you know it's the right lotions to use on a baby?
I read.
Okay. Can the average, can you say, so since you read the bottles, you know, the lotion bottles and all that, can you say that the average person can go to a drugstore and read and look for something to treat eczema, to take care of a baby with a skin dish?
One moment.
Objection, relevance.
I do find that it lacks relevance. The first thing I'd have to find is that the baby has eczema. 2, that the father was informed that he had eczema and was given medical records to that effect. And then 3, that there's evidence that he has not been treating the eczema.
So, Your Honor, can I ask for judicial, can you judicial notice previous medical records that have been submitted? So, to judge,
I cannot judicially notice previous medical records.
okay, because I submitted medical
There
records.
is a notation in the file of a left side filing, which means it's kept under seal because it contains confidential information of medical records. If Mr. Lytle doesn't have an objection to my looking at those records and making them a court's exhibit in this proceeding under seal, I can do that. If you saw them previously, I assume you did.
I'm not 100% sure which record she's speaking of, but
If it's a medical record of a child, you do not have an objection to it?
no.
This is from some time ago, this was not
Yes. I have
recently.
no objection to
Okay.
previously filed medical records for the child.
Okay. So that'll become Court's Exhibit 1.
All right, there's an optical illusion going on here that's driving me crazy since day one. This is slanted. This is clearly slanted. But this is not slanted. And I'm trying to figure out how and why the dell isn't slanted with the rest of it. And I have not figured it out yet. Somebody will tell me and then I'll see it and then I'll say, oh.
Because it's not something I can take judicial notice of. It's not something that's commonly known or easily verified.
Right.
Um, okay. Okay, so based on your observation of the baby and your experience raising 5 babies, would you say that the baby comes back in a condition that exhibits he has been being taken care of properly?
Objection. Foundation.
Sustained.
Okay, so based on
And
your,
I believe, Mr. Clerk, that the medical records were left side filed on January 29th, 2019. You can go ahead.
so based on your observation of the baby in the house, is he taken care of at our house?
Can you say that or can you state it?
Is your grandson taken care of at your house?
Yes.
Okay, and if you were to compare his care at home and the condition you observe him in when he comes home, what type of comparison would you make?
He comes in with a rash, we always treat it. And he goes back with none, and every time he comes in, he has another one. We always take care of it. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. That's what it is.
Does the baby have hair on his head?
On the
Hair on his what, excuse me?
His head.
the hair was cut, trimmed.
Okay. What type of hair texture does he have?
Objection, relevance.
Your Honor, I'm trying to establish a point.
What point?
The care of the baby. Because I have an exhibit that shows hair.
All right, so you can describe your grandson's hair.
The hair was, before it was nice and thick, and it was full, and then it started falling. That's what I can say.
Okay.
And so, do you have any experience caring for his hair, his texture of hair? His hair?
Maria
do,
sent me that and figured it out. Maria, thank
Put,
you.
baby shampoos and creams to try to make it nice and thick, be healthy.
Okay. And is his hair taken care of at your house?
He is, and whenever he comes home, also another thing is when he comes from the dead, in the back there is a knot. There are knots there. I have to struggle with the baby crying because I have to take out the knots because I don't think he combs the hair. That's the honest truth. It doesn't comb the
How is there knots in the back of his head if there's no hair? If his hair's falling out, now there's knots in the hair that's not there. Got it.
hair, or maybe he doesn't even wash the hair. That's the thing.
One moment. The last statements with regard to what he does or doesn't do were stricken. Her statements that she has to come out knots when he comes back from his father's is allowed.
Do you remember roughly when the baby's hair was cut?
I don't know, sometime this year.
Okay. Did anyone at our house cut his hair?
No,
Okay. And how many haircuts has he had this year?
few.
Okay. At your house, and based on your observation and knowledge, experiences,
We will finish tomorrow. We will not finish today. We'll go 2 hours today or whatever. But tomorrow we will finish.
does the baby ever complain about his hair? Does he ever make a fuss about his hair? On your observation.
She's-
Whenever I'm combing the hair, of course, he's fasting because the hair is knotted, of course.
She's in school for nursing.
He's gonna fast. He's a baby.
And then, does the baby ever, he doesn't talk, but does he ever do any signals that he wants his hair to be cut? Based on your observation.
On a 19-month-old, how are you going to interpret that?
Right, I mean,
Now we're
does he,
getting into
does-
real speculation, trying to interpret whether or not the baby's signals mean he wants his hair cut.
right, does he ever act uncomfortable? Like, does he,
So, yeah, she takes him to the emergency room every time he signals he wants his hair cut.
does his hair ever indicate that he's uncomfortable with it?
Or
That's
except when
just
he's
too,
being
no, that's just too vague. This is just very vague, very conclusory, very speculative.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
She can certainly testify that when she has to comb out knots, he's fussy about it because it
Yeah.
hurts. That she can testify to.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor, no further questions.
Cross?
Yes, sir. I just want to, I'll pick up where we left off. I think you testified that, I think your words were, every time that the child comes back from Nick's custodial time, he has diarrhea.
he does have diarrhea.
But looking through the exhibits that were provided, I see one record of treatment for diarrhea from December 18th, 2018. It's the record you testified about. Has he ever gone, are there other medical records out there that you know of from other visits for diarrhea, or is it just the one from a year ago?
We always treat with the medication that he has. We treat him.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I'm asking, other than the one record from a year ago, has he ever gone to see a doctor because of this diarrhea that you claim he has every time?
This time, just this last week, he had diarrhea. Yes, he had to go to, when he had the eczema. There was a diarrhea too. That was a stringy mucus diarrhea.
So you're saying that the record that we didn't get served with, that was for diarrhea too?
I don't know what you're talking
Because I
about.
thought you said it was for diaper rash. That's why I'm just trying to, I'm asking, other than the December 18th, 2018 medical record, do you know of another time when he went to a medical provider to be treated for diarrhea?
He has gone. We didn't, probably she didn't put it in, but yeah, the baby has been going to,
Oh,
because every time he goes, there's a diarrhea, there's a diaper. So either we use the medication that we already have in the fridge, or
okay. All right. So,
I'm a mother, I know how to treat my own children.
so it sounds like you're very involved in caring for this child, is that correct?
I am involved because I live with them.
Right, and Karen lives with you, correct?
Yes,
Does Karen pay you rent?
Objection relevance,
Does Karen pay you rent?
objection
All
relevance.
allowed, it goes to the economic issues with regard to the party and the FDFs on file.
Okay.
it does. She
Okay.
does.
How much a month does she pay you rent?
400 something, just for the rent and not including utilities.
Liar, liar.
So she also pays for some of the utilities?
Of course, we all share.
Okay.
Hmm.
And how much does she pay you for childcare? Anything?
I don't know what you're asking. Mhm.
I'm just asking, does she pay you for all your help with caring for Julian?
I am Julian's grandmother, so I'm not. For me, I'm not gonna allow for to
He's
pay.
just asking,
I'm
you're
just
not
asking.
paid anything for childcare, correct?
I'm not paid.
Okay, fair enough. All right, there's a stack of exhibits there. On the front page, there's like a chart that says Ravello v. Sanglaza exhibit binder. Do you see that? Up there?
Yeah.
And it's numbered 1 through 21, you see that?
Yes.
All right. I want to direct your attention, it's the very first exhibit. It's exhibit 1, it's previously been admitted in today's proceedings. And I want to direct you to the very last page of that exhibit. So you'll see a green page that says exhibit 2. It's the page right in front of that exhibit 2 page, the very last page of exhibit 1. Okay, have you ever seen this image before?
What do you mean?
The very last page, it should say 11:05 a.m. at the top. The very last page of the first exhibit.
Oh, okay.
You see that?
11:05. I don't see where it says 11:05.
Right at the very top of the middle, it says 11:05 a.m. It's a screen cap from a cell phone. You see that?
She's trying to get to the top of the page. It's
Oh,
the way the,
the clip's in
it's
the
the
way.
clip. in the-
Yeah.
Hi, that makes sense, actually. I apologize. I needed a really big clip.
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, all right, and do you see under there, under 11:05 a.m., you see where there's like, it looks like an email address?
Yes.
Is that your email address?
Not so sure. I know I can see my name there, but
Is ETINASANGALAZ at iCloud.com, is that an email address that you've used?
I don't use that.
Have you ever used that email address?
Objection, Your Honor,
I
that
don't-
witness already answered that she doesn't.
I
No,
don't-
she didn't.
I
She said
don't
she
use
doesn't
that
use
email.
it, now he's saying, did you ever use it?
No, I never use this email. I use a Gmail.
Okay. Have you ever exchanged text messages with Nick Ravello?
Long time ago.
Okay. All right, well, do you recognize this as text messages that you exchanged with Nick Ravello a long time ago?
I cannot tell you because a long time ago when he blocked my email, long time ago when they were having issues, so I cannot tell you.
Okay. But it's possible that,
I cannot
Ron,
say
it's
it's possible because I don't
One
know.
moment, one moment.
I don't
She's
know.
answered the question, she says she doesn't know.
I don't know.
It's irrelevant whether it's possible or not, because she can't answer that question. Sustained.
well, let me just ask you this, did you ever bring up the concept of a dowry with Nick Ravello?
Never.
Never?
I don't know what you're talking
Did
about.
you ever indicate to Nick Ravello that he was gonna owe your family lots of money?
Objection, Your Honor, she already
I don't know
answered.
what you're talking
No,
about.
she didn't answer, it's a different question overruled. Go ahead.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you ever indicated to Nick Ravello that he was gonna owe your family money because he had gotten your daughter pregnant?
I don't know what you're talking about. I
Are-
don't know.
Are you familiar with the concept of a dowry?
Maybe. I don't know what is dowry.
Objection, Your Honor, he's asking her to answer a question, like
I'm asking you
something
if
way
you're-
One
beyond
moment,
her
one
knowledge.
No, I'm
moment.
asking
She
you
answered
because
the
I
question,
don't
one
know.
moment, ma'am. She answered the question, so move on.
I have no further questions.
Redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Please leave the exhibits there. You're free to step down. Don't discuss the testimony that you gave on the stand with any other witness in the case, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Oh my gosh. I have 2 daughters. If I could get 3 goats for each daughter, I would have 6 goats. And then I would take pictures of my 6 goats every day and send them to Bill, because Bill wants to start a goat farm. And I would just keep sending him pictures of my goats. Yep. I need to get my daughters married. Anybody want to marry my daughter for 3 goats? Go for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next witness?
No other witnesses, thank you.
Okay.
Did she say no further witnesses?
She said no further witnesses.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't need the land. I just want the goats to take pictures and show Bill. Henderson. Me.
So do you wish to do any rebuttal
well,
other than investigating the alleged November 18th report.
Your Honor, may I, did I get a chance to go to testify as well?
That's, you're a witness, so if you want
Oh.
to take the stand, that's why I was,
Okay.
you do want to take the stand.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my
That's
dear.
what I'm trying to figure
Hold on, I don't know.
That's why Mr. Liefeld stopped, because he was
Okay.
gonna determine whether he was gonna call you
Right.
in rebuttal. So, all right, you can take the stand,
Okay.
all right?
Can I take my documents?
Hmm,
Or are they already up?
are they the same exhibits?
Yeah.
Then you should use the exhibits that are there, that are the clerk's exhibits, okay?
You can solemnly swear testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay. What would you like to say?
Okay. Actually, I wrote down like everything, points that I wanted to. Am I allowed to use those or no?
Oh.
It's just things I wanted to say.
I'm not muted. I'm so sorry. I was laughing all over you guys. Oh no. I got a picture of my two babies, my beautiful baby girls. You have to pick one. You can't have them both now. That's just greedy. 3 goats each. I'll call them lefty and righty. So just pick which one you like, lefty or righty, and they're all yours. 3 goats.
I'll allow it. Provided that's all it is, I mean, you
It's
can't
just-
just read from a statement, you have to testify.
Right. It was just to help me keep track of, the things that I was going to bring on.
Well, see, here, this is where we get into this difficulty, and it comes up all the time in these pro se cases. So I need to be able to make objections to preserve my record, and without questions being posed, right? The only objections that I can make are basically motions to strike.
Correct.
Right, if she's got sort of written testimony, right, then it would seem to me that the proper mechanism for that, the only thing that I've ever seen work in these cases, is for her to put that into an affidavit and then give me an opportunity to review it ahead of time and make objections to certain portions of that affidavit, or to prepare impeachment
All right,
examination on those
Let me
points.
see what it is you wanted to take to the stand.
Yeah.
Can you hand it to the marshal?
Wait, no, wait, stop. The judge can't look at that. The judge is not allowed to look at that until he looks at that. The judge can't just look at it. What is she doing?
Okay, what I've been shown is a very extensive typed statement. And it isn't just reminder notes. So the answer is no. You have to give your testimony on the points that you want to make. And we'll make a copy of that simply for the record, put it on the left side, and that'll be,
We don't have to use it. I mean, I can just.
well, yeah,
I
but
can
I'm
just-
making a record in case you ever object to the fact that I didn't let you use it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we'll just make that court's exhibit for demonstrative purposes of my ruling number 2. Okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna start with just the beginning when I met the plaintiff. Okay, so at the time, it was my summer break of my junior year of college. I was working downtown. I was working 2 jobs at a restaurant, and then at night I was working at this new hip bar that had opened up. And so me and my coworker, we were at the bottom of the, we were checking guests in that were going in. And so then what happened was the plaintiff approached us. Then he began flirting, and me and my coworker, we didn't entertain it at all. Like we were at work, we really didn't want anything to do with that. And so then the plaintiff asked me for my phone number, and I refused to give him that. I did give him social media. And so later on, he contacted me on social media, and he was persistent with messages. And then finally I decided, okay, fine, I'll, talk to this person. And so we decided to meet. At the first time, I didn't go to meet him because I just wasn't unsure. The second time, after he had brought it up that I didn't go to meet, he mentioned it, and I finally said, okay, I'll go. So I went, and then we developed like a connection, and after that we decided to pursue a relationship. And so, since it was my summer break and he knew that, he asked me if I wanted to go visit his home where he's from. I was under the impression that he lived in Las Vegas and, he was going back to visit home, which was Wisconsin. And it was supposed to be for a week. And I told him, yeah, I'll go visit, since I'm on summer break, might as well. So we went to visit, and then while I was there, it came time for me to leave and to go back home. And so I told the plaintiff, it's time for me, I need to go back, like my plane ticket and all of that, to return home. And then he didn't want me to leave. He asked me to stay. And since I had started college, I hadn't taken any breaks off. I decided, okay, I can take a semester off and, just explore and just see where this will go. And so I decided to go back home and then get some of my things so I can spend the semester over there on the agreement that it was only going to be a semester. Soon after, that's when I became pregnant. I'd never been pregnant before. I didn't, it was completely unplanned. I didn't know what to do, but I knew my stance in terms of whether or not I was going to keep the baby or not. And I decided I wanted to keep the baby because that's my values and beliefs. And so then I decided, at the time I barely even knew the plaintiff that well. I didn't know anything about him. He had told me a bunch of things, which later on were proven to be untrue in terms of what he does for a living, and just him in general. Like I didn't know. It was so early on. And so I stuck it out from the summer of 2017 until December of 2017 when when I was at his house in Wisconsin. He never had food in the house. I was pregnant, mind you, at the time, and every time I'd try to wake him up, he wouldn't want to go grocery shopping. And I would reiterate to him, hey, I need to eat, the doctor said I need to eat. And so I would call my parents all the time and tell them, hey, this is what's going on. I don't, I'm in this place by myself. I don't know what to do. And so they would try to talk to him on the phone. Most of the time he would evade talking to them on the phone, but they knew the situation. We'd FaceTime all the time. And so my health was kind of deteriorating, so I decided at that time that I needed to go back home. I wasn't healthy and I was pregnant. And I was barely showing too, which was a big concern. And so when I talked to the doctor in Wisconsin, I told him all of that, and he was like, okay, cool, good idea, okay idea, to go home. And so, I spoke with him and spoke with my parents. He didn't want to let me go back home. My parents got really concerned about that whole situation, of him trying to keep me at his house when I, kind of like against my will when I wanted to go back. Finally, they had to threaten police, and he finally said, okay, I'll let her go, I'll let her go back home. I wasn't working at the time either, so I didn't have any money. And so my car was also in the shop. What happened was my car needed coolant, and he decided he wanted to, he's not a mechanic, he decided he wanted to change the coolant tube in my car, and the coolant in my car, and he snapped the tube. My car was in the shop from that summer until December when I finally got my car back. Him and his aunt kept telling me that my car is going to be ready next week. Your car is going to be ready next week. And for some reason, I really wasn't convinced, and I wasn't comfortable. I didn't know what was going on. But after the police, my parents threatening police and all that, magically finally got my car. I got my car and packed all my stuff into the car, and we drove back to Las Vegas. And so when we drove back to Las Vegas, he didn't spend 24 hours here. We went straight to my parents' house. He didn't spend 24 hours. Right when I got there, he left. He said that he needed to go on a flight back to Wisconsin, of which he went. And so my parents helped me unload my car and put everything back into their house. And I re-enrolled back into my, semester at school since I had taken a semester off. And I went to school and I was working part-time as well, also pregnant. And then the plaintiff finally told me that he had changed and he was different. Because prior in Wisconsin, all he wanted to do all night was party, do drugs with his friends, and just hang out and be out. And so I was stuck in his home by myself, in a place that I didn't know with people I didn't know, and I was isolated in his house. I maybe met some of his friends like once or twice here or there, but not anyone that I could say I'm developing any friendships or anything like that with them. So when I was back here, I was working, going to school, getting ready for my baby to come. The plaintiff said he was changed and he was different. For a few weeks while he was here, he didn't have a place to stay. He was homeless, like he was going from hotel room to hotel room. And I kept telling him, you need to get a place to stay. You need to get a place to stay. You can't, stay in the hotel room. And he was playing poker, drinking every night, going out with his friends. Finally, we finally decided to go look at apartments. We signed a lease at Inspire. I paid my part of the deposit. He paid his part of the deposit. We were both on the lease, and so was his aunt. His aunt was on the lease because he didn't have a job. I had a job, but it didn't prove enough income. So his aunt decided to go on the lease. And so with that, I had access to Rent Ledger, and I noticed that his aunt was paying for the apartment. And when I confronted him about it, he would say that he was paying for it, lying to me. And I knew he was, but I decided to, allow him to say what he had to say, so that just to say what he had to say. But I knew that he wasn't telling the truth based on my access to the Rent Ledger. And so then I didn't really stay at that apartment. Like I was kind of on and off between there and my parents' house, because he was always out all night. For a long time, we didn't even have furniture in the apartment. And so I stayed with my parents for most of the time. When he finally went to Wisconsin to get his furniture, since he didn't want us to get new furniture here, he called up my parents, and we moved everything into the apartment, of which my parents did most of the moving, and for us, because I was very pregnant, but I helped out as well. He didn't really help out as much, and then so everything was moved in, and then the baby was born April 2018, April 25th.
Your Honor, I'm going to make a motion to strike everything that has been said up until the baby was born as irrelevant.
Everything, every single thing.
Your Honor, may I respond?
Denied.
Okay. And so the baby was born April 25th, 2018. Prior to him being born, I didn't work full-time, so I couldn't get health insurance through the company I was working with, but I did get health insurance through the state, temporary for the baby, and then, so I set that up for him, and then all doctor's visits after he was born, I took him by myself. So he was born in the hospital, in the delivery room. Oh, I was in labor for 20 hours. In the delivery room, for all 20 hours was, well, for most 20 hours, was my parents, my sister, my best friend. He was there as well. And then after the baby was born, during labor, my parents, pastor and their wife came to visit, they came to see us, brought us food too, because we've been there for 20 hours. And so baby was born, I was moved to the hospital delivery room, and that's when I learned that his mom had landed in Las Vegas, and she came to the hospital room the following day. With her friend that I had seen one time. I'd never officially met her or anything like that, but I'd seen her. And so I felt really uncomfortable that there was this woman in a hospital room that I didn't even know, But thankfully enough, they didn't really stay that long. And so I was discharged 2 days later. I asked for an extra 2 days. What happened was, when the baby was born, I didn't have any kids of my own, so I was really uncomfortable when it came to feeding him. He didn't pee for 24 hours, so I was concerned with that. And so I asked the nurse if she would allow me to stay another day, and they said usually they don't because of health insurance purposes and all that, and I had state health insurance myself. And but they said that I could stay another day just so I can be around the nurses to make sure everything's okay. Part of that reason was because the plaintiff, while I was in the hospital room the whole time, he had harassed me so bad to the point where I told him I didn't want him to be on the birth certificate. He was telling me threats, if I didn't put him on the birth certificate, this and this would happen, and all this stuff, and I didn't feel comfortable. Actually, the head nurse at the time, she came into the room after I was crying, and she asked me, what happened, what's going on, and I had to lie to her and tell her I'm fine.
No, not at all.
So then one of the nurses in the room, while my parents were there, I had talked to my parents and I told them I don't want to go to the apartment by myself. I don't feel safe, I don't feel comfortable, and I don't know what I'm doing. And so, and I asked them, can I stay with you guys for a few weeks until I at least know what I'm doing or get a grasp of things, because I don't feel comfortable with the plaintiff being around the baby. The nurse was there, present for that conversation, and my parents actually asked her opinion. They asked her
Ma'am, you can't testify
Okay.
as to what the nurse said or your parents asking their opinion
Okay.
or those kinds of things.
Okay, thank you. So she, okay, so that happened. I eventually came to the decision that I wanted to stay with my parents because I felt better that way. And I felt a great amount of pressure after threats to put him on the birth certificate. Even his mom wouldn't leave the room until I signed his name on the birth certificate. Well, we finally got discharged.
He's always
and
here.
I went with my parents into their car because they had the car seat ready and everything. We went home to their house, and we stayed over there. And the plaintiff, I mean, he had that open door and opportunity to come over and see the baby whenever he wanted. He knew where they lived, but instead he would often choose to go out with his friends or go play poker or whatever he called working. And so I took care of the baby by myself the first few weeks of his life. I got to know my baby, got to learn to be a mom. And then May 21st came. And that was when I was supposed to go back to the apartment. On that day, we went to the apartment with my parents, and they got everything situated. Like, we had this talk about rotating. Like, usually new parents share a schedule, like every 2 hours or something, someone stays up with a baby. And so we had agreed upon all of that. We even wrote down a little schedule. My parents were like, okay, we're going to leave, we're going to go home. They went home. And so that night, the plaintiff didn't want to, I'm sorry, this was before May 21st. This was like a week before May 21st. So my parents, we did all that whole schedule, and then we saw that, well, actually, that night he didn't want to stay up with the baby at all. When I confronted him about it, he said that he needed to sleep more he needed his sleep. And I explained to him, I'm a new mom, I just gave birth to a baby, you're not going to help me take care of your own child, like watch your own child. He didn't want to do it. So I went back home. May 21st came and I decided to give it another shot. We went over there to the apartment. And so there was a disagreement between me and the plaintiff on terms of him watching the baby
3, I
for
think.
a few hours. And this was after my parents had left. But him watching the baby for a few hours, and he didn't want to. And so he began getting like, I don't know, his attitude changed, his tone, his behavior, everything like that. And he jumped off the balcony.
No, a
He
goat.
came back to the apartment with police. And police told me, they knocked on the door and they came in, they said, why are we here? And I said, I'm not sure, why are you here? And so they explained to me that the plaintiff had called the police because he wanted me out of the apartment. And I didn't know what to do. I'm there, I just had a new baby who's like 3 weeks, he's very young. And then so the Metro told me that they can't tell someone to leave an apartment if the person's belongings are over there. And they told the plaintiff, well, actually, they asked me if there was any drugs involved because the plaintiff was behaving
I'm
paranoid.
getting a whole lot of hearsay here, a whole lot on this.
Sustained, you can't, since he's now objected, you can't say what the police told you.
Okay, fair. Okay, so
Wait, did you hear what she said? Since he's now objected, do you think the judge has been sitting there the whole time waiting for objections that didn't come?
police came, and then the result was the plaintiff packed a suitcase and he decided to leave. At that time, I was on FaceTime with my dad because he wasn't there, but my mom was. And so he left. Later on in the day, he came back to the apartment after he had chosen to voluntarily leave. Came back to the apartment with 3 of his friends, and then they came into the apartment, saw that I was there, and tried to get me to leave. My mom was there, and as she mentioned in her testimony earlier, she said call the police, and that's when they all left the apartment. They all ran, and so they were downstairs. The apartment was on the 2nd floor. They were downstairs. We were on the balcony looking at them, and they were walking around, threatening in a very threatening manner. And so my mom sent him a text message, as she mentioned in her testimony, asking him why he had brought 3 big men, and he had brought 3 big men against one woman her daughter who just had a baby, and his response was because he didn't listen. And so that to me sent fear and all that. And so I went and I filed a police report of the whole situation, which I've submitted in one of my exhibits. But I didn't feel safe,
That hasn't been admitted into
Okay.
evidence. You want to identify it and try to admit it, but it's simply your statement to the police, correct?
Okay.
So it has no relevance if it's just what you reported to the police. You've testified as to what you did and what happened.
Okay. So I felt that threat, and I went and filed a police report. And so the plaintiff had a key to the apartment where he could come anytime. And actually, he would come to the apartment, but not to see the baby. He would come to get his stuff, more of his stuff. And so these messages have been submitted in the past, so if you can take a judicial notice of past messages as well, if you can.
No, I can't take judicial notice of past messages.
Okay. So
If you want to identify them, these are the ones that have already been identified and admitted?
no, there are others.
Okay, then you'd have to lay the foundation and move for their admission.
Okay. That's okay. I had asked the plaintiff, is he going to come see the baby? Is he going to send any diapers? Is he going to send anything for the baby, any money, anything? Didn't respond, didn't do it. And so the financial burden of the baby was on me. I had to take care of him by myself. Neither of us were paying the rent in that apartment. It was his aunt. And so I didn't have a job at the time. My parents came over to the apartment every single day to make sure that we had enough food, and to make sure that we had some company. But at the end of the day, they would obviously go back to home to their house. But they would come whenever, every single day. After my mom got off work, she would be there. When my dad didn't have work, before and after work, he would be there for us. And so one day, June 13th, I believe, I received papers that were served to me at the door. And it was a complaint for child custody. And I was surprised, you know. I'm like, you have a whole key to come to the apartment. You come see the baby whenever you want. And you can at least ask about how he's doing or anything like that. But there was this complaint that said that I was keeping him from the baby. And so we finally went to court about that whole matter. And eventually it came to, he had to complete, eventually came that he had to complete a parenting class before visitation, because I was generally concerned about the baby, and I've mentioned this before also in previous hearings. There was one time where I caught him trying to stuff a blanket in the baby's mouth, and when I confronted him about that, I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "The baby won't stop crying." And that concerned me. You know, I didn't feel safe with that, like leaving the baby with a person with that type of mindset, because that's not how you soothe a baby. And at the time, I wanted to go with a route of not giving the baby a pacifier, since I was breastfeeding. He was very young, slowly breastfeeding. And so I can just put him on the breast, and that helped me identify whether or not he was hungry, whether or not he needed to be changed, his cries. And so I didn't want to do that, because then I wouldn't be able to put a pacifier, because then I wouldn't be able to identify his needs. And so the blanket incident happened. And so when I brought that up to the judge, that's when she ordered that he take a parenting class before he began visitation, just so that we're safe, that he knows how to handle an infant. His visitation began before he completed the parenting class, because his lawyer went and filed a motion for him to begin earlier. I opposed it, because I didn't feel that it was right. Like, because he doesn't have anyone here in Las Vegas, like no family that can help him, you know, guide him towards how to take care of a baby or anything like that. My parents had offered, he refused their help. And so I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Judge recognized that. He started taking his parenting classes, and then he started visitation before it finished. He was ordered to file the certificate for the completion of the class. He failed to do that twice. And then finally, in Gentile's courtroom, she asked him, "Where's the certificate?" And he showed a picture of it that was on his phone. So he never actually filed a certificate of completion. But she took it, she accepted it. And then the visitation began, and
So you were one of the guys.
Overnight,
It's your
or
fault.
a full day or anything like that. But I saw that he was not taking care of the baby properly, and so he would go times not feeding the baby. He would say that he doesn't have any food, or he would say that he didn't change the baby's diaper, like outwardly say all these things, or that he.
Objection, hearsay.
It would be a statement of the party opponent, so overruled.
Okay, so he would say all of those things, say he's not feeding them, changing his diaper, and that was concerning to me. I brought this evidence up in front of the judge. The judge didn't consider it at all. She completely disregarded it, and then ordered us to do a 2-2-3 arrangement, even despite me providing substantial evidence. And so 2-2-3 began, and you know, I've had to go through with it. Like, I have had to go with it, but it's not a good arrangement, because for one, I'm choosing to do a baby-led weaning when it comes to breastfeeding. He's still one. He's still very small, and I want him to be able to benefit from that, for sure. He doesn't feed 24/7 or anything like that. He doesn't feed overnight or anything like that. But it is also a supplement because I don't give him cow's milk since he has that allergy. Don't give him any formula or anything like that. So I'd rather just give
object
him.
to the testimony about an allergy that there is absolutely no evidence.
I
to
provided
sustain.
medical records, the ones
If the
that.
medical records show there's an allergy, then I will take it into consideration.
Okay.
But I won't allow you to testify that he has an allergy if there's no medical documentation to support it.
Okay.
And medical documentation is not you telling the doctor, it's the doctor diagnosing.
Okay. Yeah. I've provided medical records.
I'll look and see.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. And so, as a mom, I decided that's just the best route for my child. It helps him a lot. It's beneficial to him, and it also creates that bond. And so, with that two and swapping weekends, it's hard because he goes away, 5 days at a time. It's hard because he's young, he's so young, he's one. He can't come back and say, hey, this is what we did for this week, or this is what happened. He can't speak for himself, but one thing that does speak for the baby is the condition that he comes back in. His body isn't going to lie. And actually, when I confronted the plaintiff a few times,
My hips
about
don't lie,
the
said
condition
Shakira.
of the baby or the health, he's always argumentative about it. Instead of saying, okay, I'll take care of him, or okay, he always has an argument with it to make it seem like it's it's my doing. The baby's sick, or
Your Honor,
I'm not taken care of because of me.
So, I understand.
This is a narrative
I
that's getting
understand.
carried away.
Yes, well, and I understand the admission of a party exception to hearsay rule. However, since before visitation, or since before my client started exercising custodial time in this case, there's been an order in place in this case that all communications are to be on talking parent. The talking parent records have been admitted today. I do object to these extraneous statements, and this whole narrative is peppered with them, that, plaintiff told me this, plaintiff told me that.
Your Honor, if we want, I can point
If
to,
it's not in the talking parent record,
I can point to the
I
records.
object to it. I object
All
to
right,
it.
so here's the issue. I won't strike her testimony, but I will review the talking parent, and I will look to see what they have discussed in terms of the weight that I give to her testimony, the
Thank you.
same as I would do to the weight to be given to his testimony.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And, so yeah, when it comes back to the condition of the baby, he can't talk for himself, he needs, someone who can advocate for himself. And actually, when I recently took him to the doctor, CPS was called, I had an
Do you have
interaction.
any record from CPS showing that they've
Check it
done
out,
any
yeah.
kind of investigation?
I can obtain one. I mean, the lady gave me her card, so I can obtain something and submit it.
Trial is
for
today.
sure.
Well, that's what you should have done by today if you're claiming there is a pending CPS investigation.
Okay,
It should give you an event number,
I have a reference number, yeah.
okay?
Becker,
Okay.
I think,
So,
or Docker.
So
It's
she used the term
fuzzy.
of,
You cannot
Okay.
indicate what she said to you.
okay. Okay, so there's that involvement. It's new and it's recent, and it's based off of the November visit to the emergency room with the severe diaper rash.
Okay. And when you go back to the desk, I'll let you give me an event number.
Okay, thank you. And so that was in response to that and the actions that the doctor took. They have to contact. They had to.
Ma'am, you cannot say, you can't give me hearsay.
Yeah, it's not what they
You can
said.
state that you believe that that there is a pending CPS complaint, and that you received a card with an event number on it from a CPS person. You
Okay.
cannot say who called or why called or who made the complaint or things of that nature.
Okay, so I was notified of that situation. But overall, throughout these visitations, I've been the protective parent. I've been taking the baby to seek medical help when a situation is when he's not well. And what is so concerning for me is the fact that he can send the baby in that condition and not say a single word to me. He won't make a comment, he won't send a single message. And so to me that leads me to believe that he doesn't care about the baby. You've spent 5 days with him, you're changing his diaper, and the rash is continually getting worse. Why not just communicate that to me? It's always a surprise to me every time I get him and he has thrush, or he's got a severe diaper rash, or he's got an ear infection. I have to figure that out on my own. He won't say anything at all. Just recently, the diaper rash was so severe, I sent him on an exchange with a niacin medication, and I had told him to mix it with zinc, and because that was what I was to mix it with zinc. And so when I received the baby following that, you could tell that the diaper rash was getting better, because finally he was receiving a medication for it. It was being treated, it was being looked at. But there was no evidence of zinc being used in the diaper, because the niacin is a certain color, it's a yellow, zinc is white. And you can tell when a baby has, when his diaper contains certain contents, And so it's concerning that the baby can't speak for himself, and and he has to go through all of these things with a parent that won't communicate what it is that's going on. Every time I receive him, it's always something I have to discover on my own. I have to find, I open the diaper, I change his diaper, and I see something, and I'm like, how am I going to go and care for my own child? Most of the time, to this point, it's a situation where I've learned what I should put on the diaper rash. I've gone to the drugstore with my mom. We read the medication, we look at the Aquaphor and the Eucerin, and we use that on his body because it works to treat, eczema or dry skin or rashes. I take him to his well visits, and I've brought it up. The what I use on his body, just to mention it. But yeah, it's unfair that a 1-year-old baby who can't talk has to go through all of these things. And there's one parent that's taking care of him. There's another parent that's sending him in a bad condition. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, Ross?
How much time do I have, Your Honor? Because
Here we go. Here we go. Oh man, this is gonna be good. She's gonna start yelling any second now. Here we go.
I can reset this for another day. In the interim, I will order any CPS records that may exist.
it's fine.
And you can finish your cross-examination or do your cross-examination then, if that's what you wish to do. Or you can complete it tonight, and
We decided she paid $300.
because
No,
we're really not supposed to keep them past 5:30, and tomorrow is a holiday, so they may have personal things they need to do as well.
Let me, if I can just start my cross, I'll respect the court's time. I understand that there's some other records that the court wants to see if they exist, then that's fine.
That's really up to you. I don't want to cut you off. You know, I allowed the testimony to go on a little bit longer and allow
I just,
people to do
I
their
know I'm
best.
not gonna have this done in 5 minutes or 7 minutes, I mean, it just, there's no way,
Well,
so.
I can go to 5:30, but it's difficult for me to hold them past that. They're not supposed to do overtime.
Right,
And if you're looking at, I would rather
Right, I
not
would-
start it and then stop it and start again.
Right.
If we're gonna do it, I'd rather do it, and I would think you might have an hour
If
because
I-
that's what you've been doing.
well,
So-
if I've got 15, 20 minutes, I think I can get,
If you want,
Most of
I'm
what
not cutting you off.
All right.
You can proceed with cross if that's what you'd like to
I
do.
think you're on. Ms. Sunglaza, you just spent a lot of time talking about the fact that that the plaintiff doesn't communicate these things to you, is that correct? That's what that was what you kept
That
saying
wasn't,
was
that wasn't my whole testimony.
that things are going wrong and he just drops them off and he doesn't tell you anything that's going on, and
That was
So,
part of my testimony.
I wanna look at my exhibit 12, which is the talking parent records.
Your Honor, can I object?
Why?
You said you were gonna take time to review the talking parents.
Yes, but he can cross-examine today. We've talked about them and all parts of them. So, no, you can't object. He can cross-examine you about that.
Okay.
Okay, so if you would go to page 18 of 91 within exhibit 12. When your mother was on the stand earlier, we looked at these medical records that you had submitted, and one of them was from December of 2018. So, actually, let's go to page 17 of 91.
I think she can object because she's her lawyer, so I think she can object. But and she's going to object to every question, I bet.
I'm there.
Okay. So December of 2018, right? That's the date on this page of all these conversations. These are in December of 2018.
Looks like it.
Okay, and it's a conversation about medical care, right?
I don't know. I haven't read it.
Well, so you said to the plaintiff, I'm looking at the 4th statement down. It says Karen Sangalaza on 12/9/2018 at 5:25:24 p.m. said, Southwest Medical, they're a huge corporation that operate with call center. You're free to give them a call. And then the next message you said, you know his name and date of birth, right? And then Nicholas says, what is his pediatrician's phone number? And you say, any Southwest Medical. And if you turn to the next page,
Your Honor, I'm gonna object. He's just picking and
Well,
choosing lines.
I'm trying to
Ma'am,
respect
so
the
did
court's
you.
time.
So did you
If you go to
when
the
you were
next-
cross-examining, so
If you go to the
this is
next page-
cross-examination, he can do this.
Right? Nicholas says, he's on your health insurance. How do I provide that info if we need to see a doctor? And
Where's this?
this is the top of page 18. That's what Nick says to you. And I'm just trying to respect the court's time. There's a lot of,
And what's my response to that is making assumption shows no education.
no, actually your response is a few
No,
lines
my
further down.
response is
When you say-
immediately after that.
When you say, you shouldn't be taking him to any doctor. I have primary
No.
physical custody.
My
You see that?
my response is immediately after that.
Okay.
With my name, my response is immediately after
Okay,
that.
so he says at 5:28
Mhm.
PM, he's on your health insurance, how do I provide that info if we need to see a doctor?
And my
And at
response follows?
529.
No, my response follows, it's the next line.
Okay, so regardless, whether you wanna call it a response or not, at 529,
It
you
is a
say,
response.
you say, you shouldn't be taking him to any doctor, I have primary physical custody. Right?
And it also continues to say, if there's an emergency, take him to the ER.
Okay. So he's trying to get information from you about the child's medical care.
And at this time,
And your response is, you don't get to take him to the doctor because I have primary physical custody,
no.
right?
At this time, the judge had never ordered anything, really. There was no order the order was, if he was going to take the baby to the doctor, he can choose to take him to any doctor he wants to take him, and he's gonna pay out of pocket for
Okay,
it.
so regardless of what the orders were though.
But
again,
that's the order.
You've characterized that my client never provided you with information, and yet, and this is just one example, and the court is gonna review
What
all these
information
records.
is being provided here?
None, and that's the problem.
No. What
So,
information
here's-
is your
no,
client
here's the
providing?
thing.
All
The
right,
court's gonna
you're
look at all
not
these
gonna
records.
argue with him,
The-
okay? And
the
you're
court-
just gonna ask a question and not argue.
That's fine, that's fine. The court is gonna review these records, and they're gonna see numerous instances like this, aren't they?
But what's the
Where he's asking you a simple question about
What's the question?
information that's relevant to the child,
Your
and
Honor,
you
I'm gonna
choose not to
object.
answer.
There's no question here.
He's trying to ask a question if you would listen.
Isn't that, I mean, you've looked at these
His
document
question
records, right?
is that typical of your refusal to give him medical information? That's what he's really asking.
Your Honor, my child doesn't have medical
Facts.
insurance.
100%.
There's no information for me to give.
Was he on Medicare at the time?
At the time, yes.
And he had medical insurance, didn't he? And he
Mhm.
had a Medicare card, didn't he?
Yes, but the
And you
order,
could have given that information, and your answer is going to be, well, if she doesn't give you that, you could always go take him to a pediatrician and just pay for it out of pocket.
which was the
That
order.
doesn't relieve you of the responsibility of providing the information to him, nor does it relieve him the responsibility of saying, because she didn't give it to me, I'm relieved because it's all her fault. You're both poor parents to that extent. Okay? That is not an excuse for either one of you to act in the manner with regard to questions about,
Wow.
where's the pediatrician, where's the insurance card?
Oh my gosh.
Well, the judge said you could take him to anybody you want. He says, well, I don't have this. Well, the answer is, it's not a justification for him. If he's concerned about the child's health, he can certainly take the child during his time to a pediatrician. If you're so concerned about his health and wanting him to do it, then one would think you would give him the insurance and encourage him to go to the same facility that you go to. So the answer is, it doesn't show very well for either one of you in terms of it.
Well,
Please move on, Mr. Reichel, because we're not gonna get into
No,
arguments.
absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
ask your question, she will either answer it or she won't. You can make whatever argument you want.
That's fine. We're gonna switch to Exhibit 8. If you would find Exhibit 8. This has not been previously admitted, but it is an order entered in the case. I'm asking the court to take judicial notice of this order,
Okay?
entered on January 31st, 2019. Do you have Exhibit 8 in front of you?
Yes.
So you can admit Exhibit 8 because it's actually a document from the
I want you to go to the last paragraph on page 2. You talked a lot about that my client didn't know what he was doing. He was ordered to take parenting classes, and it took him a long time to finish the parenting classes. Actually, before you look at that paragraph on page 2, just at the top of page 1 in the right-hand corner, you see electronically filed January 31st, 2019. You see that date?
What was the date that you said?
January 31st, 2019.
I see it.
Okay, and if you go to the last paragraph on page 2, it says, "It is further ordered, judged, and decreed that Karen shall complete the 6-session Nurturing Parents and Families class offered through the Clark County Department of Family Services, and upon completion shall provide proof of completion to Nick." You see that? And if you turn to the third page, you see Judge Marquis' signature there.
I see a signature, yeah.
Okay. So on January 31st, 2019, you were ordered to complete a 6-session parenting class that you never even started, correct?
Not correct. I completed a parenting class and I have a certificate. They didn't fail to file a certificate. I didn't file a certificate, but I do have one. I have one with me. I didn't file it or submit it, but I have one.
You completed the 6-session Nurturing Parents and Families class?
Yes, I did.
So,
Okay.
and when did you
Liar.
complete that class?
I don't remember, but I completed the class and I have the
If you have
certificate.
the certificate with you, you can file the certificate today if you wish to, or just show it to me.
Yeah, I can show you the certificate.
Just hold on.
Okay.
Court's indulgence.
Mhm.
Come on, lawyer Naylor, let's go. What are you doing?
I want to direct your attention to Exhibit 1. It's been previously admitted, our plaintiff's Exhibit 1. And specifically to the 4th page.
Okay.
The first entry at the top of the page, just to make sure we're on the same page, it says that ice you drank. Are you on that page?
What's the time?
So at the top it says 8:16 a.m.
Okay, I'm on that page.
And then the first entry starts that ice you drank. You see that?
I'm on that page.
Okay, perfect.
Same here.
My clients previously testified and authenticated this was a text conversation between you
Your Honor,
And-
may I
and-
respond?
One moment.
and
What's the question first? Go ahead.
so the third statement on that page, that's in the lighter gray, right? It says the baby didn't even want you to hold him because he knows white people are evil.
Your Honor, can I object?
On what basis?
Well, these were already presented and the court already admonished me for them, and I did apologize already. I mean, we already
Well,
dealt
that
with this
doesn't mean that
matter.
there can't be evidence in this hearing.
Okay,
So you can object, but no, that's why I admitted the evidence over your objection, because the court may have already admonished you, but it's still something that can be considered in terms of all of the evidence over custody.
oh,
Do you think white people are evil?
no,
Okay. If you read further down, you said, speaking about the child, you said he's black, his family is black, and he's going to grow up knowing he's black. He's never going to like you. LMAO. You see that?
yep,
Your baby's biracial, correct?
yeah, it is.
Okay. And only half of his family is black, correct?
I don't know. I don't know his dad's side of the family.
Okay, but you've met some of them, right? I mean, his mom and his aunt were
I've
here
only,
today.
I don't know. I've only met 2 people. That's
Okay.
it.
All right, but when you say his family is black, you were talking about your family, right?
I honestly, I don't know who's on his dad's side of the family. Can be anyone.
For the record, I am not
If you skip
on that side of the
forward,
family, so it can't
so
be
from there,
anyone.
go 1, 2, 3 more pages. The time at the top is 8:23 a.m. And the first message starts ba ha ha. Do you see that?
I'm on that page. Mhm.
Okay. And again, this is you texting Nick, and you say ba ha ha, and you're going to have a lonely, miserable Father's Day. You have no recent photos of Julian to post. Why didn't he have any recent photos of Julian to post?
Objection, Your Honor, the context, I mean, where's the previous messages to this?
Ma'am, you can testify to that. Just answer the question.
Why didn't he have any recent photos of Julian to
I
post?
don't know.
Was it because you weren't allowing him to
I'm-
see the child?
I don't know why he didn't.
If you skip 2 more pages, top of the page says 8:26 a.m. First entry starts, really hope you lose. See that?
I'm on that page.
Right. And on the second entry there, you write to Nick, also take off that you're Julian's father because you're not, you're just a sperm donor. And all your friends are about to know how pathetic you are to abandon your own child because I'm going to message them who you really are. You see that?
Mhm.
Do you regard Nick as just a sperm donor?
No.
Is that wrong? Asking for a friend. I don't
Yeah.
think that's wrong. I think that's fine.
I want to skip 2 more pages though, to the last page of this exhibit. And I asked your mother about this, and then you actually brought it up in your statement that she was texting with Nick. So to your knowledge, was your mom texting Nick on occasion?
This was honestly,
I'm
this
not
was
asking about this one specifically,
no.
but you mentioned it. so-
on May 21st. This I've never seen. This
Okay.
isn't my, I don't know what this is. But on May 21st, she did have a conversation with him through text message. It wasn't this, because this wasn't May 21st.
Okay, so when she said she might have texted with him a long time ago, to your knowledge, she was texting him something in May of 2018?
I don't know.
Okay. What do you do for a living right now?
I'm a full-time student and I work part-time.
Full-time student studying what?
Political science.
And how close are you to graduating?
Objection, relevance.
What is the relevance?
Your Honor, there's been a lot of conversation today about what my client did or didn't pay for, what he was willing to pay for, and a lot of disparagement in my client's profession as a professional poker player. And I think it's fair for the court to
Overruled.
understand what her,
Okay,
Her view of-
what she's studying probably doesn't matter, but that she's
Sure.
a part-time student.
but her date of graduation and what she intends to do after that point, I think are relevant.
Okay, that might go towards child support.
Okay, so what is your anticipated date of graduation?
It's going to be December of 2019, next month.
Okay. What kind of degree are you going to graduate with?
Regardless, I mean, objection, relevance, that has nothing
It's
to do with
relevant.
I mean, is it a?
what I
It's-
do now.
It's relevant to potentially your ability to earn more in the future.
Okay,
So there's some relevance.
okay. What was your
So
question?
will you get a
What sort of
political
degree
science
do you
degree, a
expect to
Bachelor of
obtain?
Arts degree? That's what he was asking.
Is it an
Okay,
associate's degree, a bachelor's degree?
it's a bachelor's.
Okay. And what are your, you said right now you're a full-time student and you said you're working part-time,
Mhm.
doing what?
I work in a restaurant.
Okay, yes. Well, I mean, what is your position?
I serve,
Okay.
but objection,
Okay.
relevance,
So do you
Again, it goes to child support,
Do you intend,
overruled.
after you obtain your degree next month, do you intend to continue working as a server part-time or?
I don't know.
Okay. When you say part-time, how many hours a week is that?
It ranges anywhere from 20 to maybe 25.
What is your relationship with Steve Sansom?
He's my friend.
Okay. When did you meet him?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance of her friendship with Mr. Sansom?
Well, she went on his radio show and talked a lot about my client.
Objection, hearsay.
So,
No, if you talked about him, it would not be hearsay, it would be a party opponent. The question is, did you listen to the radio show and know that it was her?
oh, she was introduced, yeah, I mean, it's actually on video. It's on
All right,
his,
so what's the point?
I'm just trying to figure out
Okay,
whether,
well, her relationship with him is probably not relevant. her, what she may have said on the show with regard to this case may or may not be relevant.
How about this? Do you acknowledge that you went on Steve Sanson's Veteran in Politics radio show and talked about this case?
What are you referencing? Which date?
Have you ever appeared on Steve Sanson's Veteran in Politics radio show?
Objection, relevance? I mean, I can appear on the show.
I already indicated there may be some relevance if you appeared and talked about the case, depending on what you said. So his first question is, have you done that? Yes or no?
I've been on his show.
Okay. And did you talk about this case on that show?
I talked about my relationship with the plaintiff. I spoke about a previous experience with a previous judge. I didn't reference the case.
He has 2,700 videos. I'll try. I'll do my best.
Number. I didn't reference the case name or anything like that.
But you did mention my client's name, correct?
No, nope, not at all.
Okay. But you said you were speaking about your relationship with, you admit that you were at least speaking about your relationship with
Objection,
Mr. Bell?
relevance.
Ma'am, I've already answered that 3 times now. Objecting the 4th time isn't going to make any difference. I said that he could inquire into it.
Okay.
So there's some relevance. So you need to answer the question.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I'm repeating what you just told me. You said you spoke about your relationship with the plaintiff, right?
I don't remember.
And you admitted on that show that,
Now she says she doesn't remember, so if she doesn't remember,
all right. Your Honor, I think just in the interest of everyone's time, this is probably,
you won't be able to wrap up by 5:30.
by 5:30? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I promised the court 15 minutes, and that was 20 minutes ago.
No, I'll give
So,
it to 5:30 because
okay,
there's some leeway to go to 5:30. Beyond that, it becomes much more difficult from a logistical point of view.
all right. When Julian was an infant, you co-slept with him, correct?
I don't remember.
In the interest of time, Your Honor, I'm going to ask that the court take judicial notice of the video recordings of the first 3 hearings in this case, wherein the
Is it your
defendant,
representation that at those hearings, she personally made a representation to the court or testified that she was co-sleeping?
and was admonished against doing so,
Well,
and,
what she was admonished
yes,
is not my question.
yes, that she,
If you wish
She
me
made
to
that-
listen to
She
a
made that
hearing
admission.
to see if she actually made such a statement, then I will listen for that limited purpose only.
no.
I found it.
And I would ask that if you believe that to be true, you supply me with the dates and the video area. You don't have to do that now.
It's an hour long. So we can play it now, and then we'll just have, this will be a 2.5 hour stream. Or I can play it tomorrow, because this case tomorrow only takes up an hour and a half. So I think we should just finish out this video, and that'll take it to about 2 hours today, and then we'll start with this, and then tomorrow will be a. Nope, I'm gonna do it now. Gotcha. Tomorrow, poll time. It's a poll. Fozzie, where are you? Fozzie, are you here? I'm about to do a poll. And if you don't vote, that's not my fault. Ignore this sound. Oh, it's not sounding. It's fine. I'm going to press play while I get this poll running.
Now you can do that subsequently
Perfect.
before the next court date.
The register of action somewhere. It would be,
You don't have to do it
okay,
now.
fine. Does Julian currently have medical insurance coverage of any kind?
No.
No Medicaid, no Medicaid?
No, my answer was no.
He has no medical insurance of any kind?
No,
Okay,
I already answered the question.
so when you take him to, you submit some medical records, when you've taken him to the doctor, do you pay cash?
They don't ask me for it because it's the emergency room. They don't ask me for anything. They just ask his name, his date of birth.
So he just gets free?
And
free
medical
treatment?
bills, bills will be sent, is what they say. So I'm yet to wait for those.
Did he have insurance back in December of 2018?
I don't remember.
Did you ever get a bill from this December 2018?
I don't remember.
You said that he's been to the doctor as recently as just earlier this month, correct?
He's been to an ER.
Okay. Did you notify the plaintiff that he was?
I heard a ton of people talk about, oh no, you are not cheating, Fozzie. Nope. If you just put one more account up, I'm going to overrule the poll.
Going to the ER or had been to the ER? Or?
I don't remember.
Okay. I mean, is it in the talking parent records? Did you let him know?
I
There?
mean, when you submitted these records before he went to the doctor.
Okay. Well, I mean, it was just.
I don't know.
You said it was just a week ago, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you recall? Do you remember?
He's answered
sending-
the question.
Okay. Fine. I have no further questions, Chairman.
Okay. So now we can do what's called redirect, which simply means if you'd like to clarify any point that he made on cross-examination, you may do so.
No redirect, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. That will conclude then.
Overwhelmingly play it today, so I have to start it right now. I'm going to run out of time for OJ. Here we go, guys. I have to add this into my I just need to grab this link real quick and put it in my description. I got this from Veterans in Politics. Veterans in Politics.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB-TV.
Sansa, Christina Ortiz, Amanda Stabagan, Veterans in Politics. We're supposed to have two exciting guests today.
I was muted.
Karen Sengalaza, tied of the corrupt Clark
1
County
hour.
family court system, and Nakia Bond's outrage of the constant abuse of power by Clark County Family Court Judge Rena Hughes. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Any rants?
Where do you find your guests? Just wondering.
Where do you
why-
spend all your time?
Right?
Well, seems that I'm the one that's doing all the work, finding the guests. Maybe if you could find some guests, I'll just back away from it and let you find all the guests for the 52 weeks a year and see
Oh.
if you could do it.
I don't want to talk to
Ti-
anybody.
Times that by 2, that's 104 guests a year.
Yes, that would require me talking to people.
Let's see if you could do
No,
that.
no.
And then you could question where I find my guests. Other than that, you can't question.
Well, you don't approve my guesses, so I'll stay out of it.
You only had one person that you wanted, that one guy from the Libertarian Party. That's the only one you threw at me. Other than that, you haven't thrown anybody else.
No, I've asked you about a couple people. but-
Nah, the Libertarian was the only one, that Jason, whatever, Wiseman or whatever the hell his name is. That's the only guy.
All right, well, we might as well get into our rants, right?
There you go.
No, it's just okay. So, all right, I have a rant.
Different things, so.
Okay. So, how did you end up in the family court system? Did you,
That's her?
Before I even ask that question,
IPI, visit www.veteransandpolitics.org.
Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Mantis Toboggan, Christina Ortiz with Veterans in Politics. We have Nakia Bonds, outrage of the constant abuse of power by Clark County Family Court Judge Rena Hughes. Ms. Bonds, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Tell us about you.
I apologize.
Well, I'm a mom of 4 children,
wow.
ages 26, 23, 18 almost, and 6.
Oh, you started all over again, huh?
I did. With
You got any
mom.
grandkids?
I do. I have 1 granddaughter.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
adorable.
So, tell us about yourself.
Well, I've mainly always been a single parent.
Okay.
Raised my children very well. I'm proud of them all.
Are they
I've
by
been
the
a nurse.
same dad, all of them?
No.
Okay.
My boys are by my first husband, and
Okay.
then I have Madison, and then Tristan.
Same dad.
No. They
Oh,
have a different
different
dad.
dads. Okay.
Thank God.
Okay. Okay. Please continue.
So I've been a nurse for almost 11 years now.
What type of nurse?
LPN.
What is
LPN.
that? Could you?
Licensed practical nurse.
Okay.
Before that, I was in journalism and communications, and tried my hand at cosmetology, a lot of different things. So.
Okay. So, how did you end up in the family court system? Did you? Before I even ask that question, your other 3 kids, or were they in?
It is not her, but it says Karen. I know it's spelled E-N. Is it a different Karen? Is there 2 Karen Sangalazas? Maybe this is Karen. They might be pasties. They might be pasties, you know. All right. I tried, guys. I'm just going to peek real quick, see if something else pops up real quick. It looked like that was it. But if that ain't her, that ain't her. No. There's nothing else coming up. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where it went. I don't know. Okay. Unless, nope, I don't know. I know. 2 Karen Sangalazas, both in family court in Nevada. What I'm thinking is, during that 1-hour show, at the beginning when it was just those 3 people talking, she might have phoned in. So what I'll do is I'll spot check. I'm not watching that whole video. I'm just not. I'll spot check that video and see if she calls in, and then I'll play it tomorrow if she does. Yep, Sandra got it. So that's what I'll do. So we'll just finish this out and then go to OJ.
Your witnesses, am I correct? Yeah. You step down, and you can get your certificate that you say you have with you today. That's you show that to opposing counsel.
Okay.
Okay, and if the marshal would make a copy,
I have copies if you want to have them.
that's fine. And do you have two there?
We're doing OJ on weekends because I like OJ. I don't want to wait 2 days. I'm ready. I'm ready to hear more.
2 copies.
All right, so if you give one to Mr. Lytle.
And then, Your Honor, I've yet to receive a copy of their certificate.
Well, just if
I'll
I can put
sleep at
Mr.
work.
Rosello back on the stand for 2 minutes, I can have him authenticate. It's in our exhibits today. I can have him authenticate.
That's
that.
fine.
And that can be admitted as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the record reflects the parenting project was completed on August 13th, 2019. So the copy will be.
I understand there
marked
was an E in it. I understand.
as, defendants next in order
I still think it was her.
and admitted.
Must I be sworn again?
No,
No,
you're already
you're
sworn in, sir.
Still on the road. If you would, just look at plaintiff's exhibit 4.
If you looked at that video, it said Karen Sangalaza, and I think it said like Nicole Bish or something like that. I think that lady sitting was Nicole, and I think Karen called in. So I'll find it if she did. Oh, he just coughed. Remember that time in the past where we could cough? We could just cough.
Can I object to this?
We'll let him just identify it first and then we'll find out. Okay, go ahead.
Can you identify exhibit 4?
I can.
What is it?
This is my certificate from completing baby care class in the fall of 2018.
What's the date on it?
It's a photograph of the certificate,
What's
is it
the date
not?
on it?
Yes, it's a photograph.
And what's the date of
The date is December 1, 2018.
Okay, and is this the same photograph that you presented to Judge
Objection, it hasn't
Markey?
been admitted.
He's laying the
Is
foundation.
this the same photograph that you presented to Judge Markey as proof of your completion in open court?
Yes.
I asked
Now,
that
what's your objection to
exhibit
its
4 be
admission?
admitted.
It's a picture, it's not the actual certificate.
Well, yours is a photocopy and it looks like the actual certificate, so there's nothing about it that would indicate to me that somehow it's been concocted or manufactured or something of that nature. It looks just like yours. So it's just a photograph instead of a photocopy. So your objection is overruled. And exhibit 4, is it? Proposed exhibit 4 is now admitted.
I don't have any further rebuttal questions for him.
All right, so.
May I go back?
You may go back, yes, you may, sir. So, Ms. Sangalaza, do you have your card with the CPS case number that you believe applies?
So I've got the referral number, this is written by the doctor, and this is what he gave me. And then I have the card that the CPS lady gave, she gave me her card, so.
So the doctor gave you a referral number to CPS?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I have the card with me, but I can file it. It's probably, I don't know if it's at home.
All right, so this is what I would like you to do. I would like you to make a photocopy of the card and email it to the department law clerk.
Okay,
And I want you to CC that email to Mr. Lytle.
okay,
The department law clerk will get it to me, and you have till 10 a.m. on Monday to do that.
okay. What is the email for the department law clerk? I mean, I don't know which clerk it's going to.
I think it's just the department.
Just the accused law clerk.
Yeah, it's just Department Q law clerk. At clarkcountycourts.net, I think, but,
US.
or .us.
County courts with an S, and .us.
Is that what it is? So,
You said you
yes, but exactly what is the email so she knows?
Department QLC.
All right, so it's department fully spelled out?
DEPT.
Right.
Q.
DEPTQ
LC.
LC at clarkcountycourts.us. Okay?
Okay, and then what's Mr. Lytle's email?
I assume that you've received that in the past from communications, but Mr. Lytle will
I
give
will
it to
give her
you.
another card.
No, I don't need a card, just the email to confirm that I,
No, he can give you the cards because it's got the email on it.
Okay,
That's why he wants to make sure. So I note that the card was given to her
okay,
and
so
that's
this
got
is
the
mine.
email.
I have this email.
Okay.
Okay,
I just wanted to confirm.
to make it that it was the same email
Right.
you've had previously. That's fine. All right, so when we come back, I will have read those documents that I didn't have time to read today, since you both want me to read more in depth the documents. And I will, in the interim, ask CPS, based upon the information you supply, what, if anything, they have under that event number, and for them to supply the records to me. Then those records are not given to the parties, but
Right.
both parties can review them, and then they're filed as a left side filing, again, so it's not part of the public record, but it is part of the court record, okay? CPS filings are never part of the public record. So, in terms of finding a time period for coming back to court, I can do it on the morning of December 18th or the morning of December 19th.
Check my calendar very quickly here.
Because we need to give enough time at least for CPS to be notified and get some response.
I'm out of town on the 18th. I will be available on the 19th.
Okay? Are you available on the 19th, ma'am, in the morning?
Is there, that's the week of my graduation, so I just.
The week of my
I don't know how to
graduation?
handle it, you know,
The week?
between,
I can go into January, but that's, in other words, the 19th is the last date that's available before the end of the year. I can go to January 6th.
We're fine with January on our side.
let's go on
Actually,
December 19th, I'll have to look at it.
All right, I'm just letting you know. So December the 19th. And it is, Mr. Lytle, I would prefer to do it at 10 a.m. because we have to find a courtroom for me to use. So I don't know what courtroom it will be in.
Okay.
Does that still work with you, or do you have 10 or 11 o'clock appearances?
I'm
You're
free that whole morning, so.
So I'll make it 10 a.m. There'll be no additional testimony. I'll simply have the CPS records. And then if I get them early enough where I have read them, I will be prepared to render an oral decision that day. If I don't,
I never went to graduation. Not for my bachelor's degree, not for my master's degree. I didn't have a party. I just finished the courses and moved on with my life. People barely even knew.
get them early enough, then you may have to wait. Because
I would-
have them.
I would like the opportunity to submit closing, even if it's in writing.
You can both do that if you'd like to submit a 7-page closing statement that summarizes the evidence and why you think that evidence supports your point of view. Actually, I'll even make it 10 pages.
Thank you.
Each of you should have that document done by December the 13th.
Perfect.
Okay?
Submitted, like filed and served on the other party.
Yes.
December, sorry, what date?
December 13th, because I'll have to have read it before the 19th. So.
Okay. Is there, this is hard, I'm sorry. It's just that's the week of my finals.
So that's why, if you would prefer to go to January 6th so that you're past your finals for all of this, and I'm okay with that. You just kind of have to decide. I can't. Just from any complaint from November 18th forward. I don't believe there's any others.
Let's stay with December. I don't want to postpone.
Okay. All right, the department will find a courtroom and they'll notify you where the proceedings will be, all right?
Perfect.
All right, so we'll be in recess and you all have a pleasant Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you as well.
All right.
Well, her hair didn't have the blonde things in there, so yep, it's December 1919. Okay, we're going to finish this tomorrow. It should take about an hour and a half to finish this tomorrow, unless I can find her phoning in. Then it didn't look like it was the whole hour, so then it'll probably take another 20 minutes or so. So I didn't start up OJ. I got distracted. So we're not going to be redirected to OJ. I'm just going to start it up, and then you'll have to click the link. I know, it's hard. Hi, Salty. I have to decompress after all that. I was really expecting more fireworks on the stand when she was on the stand, so I feel pretty disappointed. But that's okay. We already had her swearing at the other judge, right? We can't be greedy. All right. I will see some of you in OJ, or all of you, and I will see the rest of you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I hope so, Gina. I hope so. Bye, guys. Have the best day. Bye, Sandra.
Got these life echoes, digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like there's no